Good afternoon. A teenage suspect's been charged with first-degree murder in the death of an OPP officer in Northern Ontario.
29-year-old Constable Taryn Bali, who was originally from Brampton, died after being struck by a vehicle. CTV's Janice Golding has been following this investigation and the aftermath of Bali's death. She joins us live now with more. Janice.
Hi, Michelle. Well, the flags here at the OPP detachment next to the Chief Coroner's office are at half-mast today in honor of Constable Taryn Bali. Bali, who is 29 years old, originally from Brampton, was killed over the noon hour yesterday in the line of duty near Hearst, Ontario, which is about a 9.5-hour drive northwest of where we're standing. Police say members of the James Bay OPP were trying to stop a vehicle when an officer was struck. Officer Taryn Bali was seriously injured and died at the scene. The OPP have now arrested an 18-year-old who is facing charges of first-degree murder, assaulting an officer, dangerous driving, and flight from police. OPP Commissioner Thomas Carrick told reporters last night that the accused had escaped from a hospital where he was being assessed under the Mental Health Act.
I know his father, and so I reached out, and it's just, like I said, words seem so inadequate. Here's a young person who just wanted to help others, and he volunteered to fill a backfill in Northern Ontario to take on some difficult work. He wanted to help others, and to see someone who just had a good heart, who he was so young, has such a bright future ahead of him. It's heartbreaking.
He's a rookie officer, really. He's only 2.5 years on the job. He's a very hard worker, and police officers have an opportunity to go up north to places like James Bay and do deployments for a period of time. It's kind of extra work for them, and they help with staffing shortages and things like that up in the north. So he was going in the extra mile in service to the people of Ontario.
And Constable Bali's family has traveled north to repatriate his body, which we are told is going to be brought to the coroner's court about a block from where we're standing right now. In the meantime, 18-year-old Justin Verano is going to be appearing in a courthouse today to face charges. Reporting live, I'm Janice Golding. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janice. There was a single vehicle rollover in Etobicoke last night. This incident happening just before midnight. Officers found the vehicle on its roof in the area of Highway 427 and Rexdale Boulevard. No injuries reported. The cause of this crash remains under investigation.
And there's a tractor-trailer crash in Brampton early this morning. The crash was first reported around 4:15. Now, police say the tractor-trailer crashed while heading south on the 410 near Sandalwood Parkway. No other vehicles were involved and nobody was hurt. The cause of the crash is still being investigated. And one person was arrested following a collision involving a Peel police cruiser in Mississauga. It happened near Dundas and Dixie shortly after 11. Police say the cruiser was rear-ended while on a traffic stop. The driver of the vehicle involved was arrested and taken to hospital with minor injuries. The officer in the cruiser was not hurt.
Still to come, Bryan Adams set to take the stage tonight for a FIFA kickoff concert here in Toronto. We'll have more on the pre-tournament celebration a little later in the newscast. But first, the TTC is introducing new technology aimed at cracking down on bad behavior. It will allow users to report rule breakers directly as part of a real-time monitoring program. CTV's Beth McDonnell has been following this story and joins us live with more. And it sounds like this might make a difference, Beth.
Yes, Nathan, the TTC is rolling out this new technology to make subways and stations safer. The project is based on a pilot program happening here at Kennedy Station since April and will now be rolling out to all subway stations. Riders can expect to hear a specific audio message based on that safety issue that's happening. Have a listen.
Attention customers at Kennedy Station. This is the Traffic Control Center. Stop smoking immediately. You are being recorded. Police and special constables will be dispatched if you do not comply.
What triggers the announcement comes from riders. If they see something like drug use or a person being threatening, they can open the Safe TTC app and report it. That will trigger the announcement through the subway station, which is done through a technology called Assisted Management Program, and they also call that SAM. It uses cameras to spot the behavior before sending the message over the PA system.
Using TTC's camera and PA system, transit control staff can now spot antisocial behavior like smoking or unsafe behavior like loitering or vandalism to tell rule breakers to stop what they're doing, and if they don't, dispatch law enforcement.
That's good. That'd be good because sometimes I see that happening and I want to talk to someone, tell them what's going on. Like sometimes they're even smoking in there.
I think that, I don't know. I don't know if it would help, to be honest. Yeah, I'm not really sure. It sounds interesting. It sounds like they're doing, that's definitely a level up of what they're doing now, I think.
Right now, the technology is limited to subway stations. It is not available in subway cars. We have asked about how many people have downloaded the Safe TTC app and so would be able to access this tool. Reporting live at Kennedy Station, I'm Beth McDonnell. Nathan and Michelle, back to you.
Thank you, Beth. A new report says 1 in 4 kids in Toronto is experiencing poverty. The Child and Family Report Card found between 2022 and 2023, child and family poverty increased to nearly 26%. The report calls Toronto Canada's child and family poverty capital, with Toronto having the highest rate among the country's big cities.
That rise in poverty rates has come along with a rise in food insecurity. And today, the Daily Bread Food Bank welcomed a $1 million donation as it works to feed those in need. 407 ETR signed over the check to the food bank this morning. Daily Bread says the support comes at a critical time, with annual visits to member locations up 348% since 2019. CEO Neil Hetherington spoke about the impact today's gift will have on their operations.
Right now, Daily Bread's feeding 1 in 10 Torontonians, and we would never be able to do that unless groups like the 407 came together. Today, $1 million, 1 million meals, 1 million pounds of food. That is going to feed the need now, and together we're going to advocate for change so that there are no longer 1 in 10 Torontonians having to rely on the Daily Bread.
Daily Bread Food Bank now spends about $29 million on purchasing each year, on food purchasing rather, each year. Compare that to just $1.5 million before the pandemic.
The Premier has returned from his recent trade mission to Washington.
The focus was on improving relations amid the ongoing trade war with the U.S., but opposition members are questioning whether the trip was worth it. CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has been following the Premier's travels and joins us live now with more. Siobhan.
Well, the NDP is accusing the Premier of lighting taxpayer money on fire for what they say amounts to a glorified photo op. These are the kind of trips the Premier has talked about as being really important to build those face-to-face connections, but this trip definitely didn't go as planned. The Premier was supposed to headline a meeting with the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and its chair, Ross Perot Jr., on Monday night. That event was abruptly canceled. We were told it was because of a scheduling conflict. Now, keep in mind, this event had been promoted and planned for well over a week at that point. The Premier did take meetings with industry players from the auto sector as well as farming and met with at least 3 senators. Here's what he had to say in Washington.
They rolled out the red carpet for us. They treat us so well. My message to everyone, we love Americans. We love the U.S., and I know Americans love Canadians. Let's get a deal done. Let's create more jobs, more opportunities, more investment for both sides of the border. And if we get this deal done, both economies are gonna boom, the likes of which either country's never seen before, because no one likes the uncertainty.
The conversation, the cooperation between Canada and the United States is coming to Queen's Park this afternoon. The Premier is going to welcome Governor of Pennsylvania, Josh Shapiro. That's somebody who's been in the conversation as a possible Democratic candidate for president in 2028. The 2 leaders will be signing some sort of cooperation agreement between Ontario and Pennsylvania. He'll be here at Queen's Park, and the 2 leaders will be taking questions at 3. Reporting live, I'm Siobhan Morris. Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Siobhan. Several high-profile Torontonians have sent a letter to the Prime Minister demanding no changes be made to the city's inner harbour without full consultation. Margaret Atwood, David Mirvish, former Premier Bob Rae, and former mayors David Crombie and Art Eggleton are among the signees. The letter calls the waterfront Toronto's crown jewel. It also calls on Ottawa to halt any changes to Billy Bishop Airport until an evidence-based long-term plan is presented to residents and fully debated. The group also sent a summary and report to Ottawa, which raises concerns about the environmental and economic implications of the province's proposed airport expansion.
It's time now for our first look at the forecast as we take a live look at more of our waterfront this hour. And you can see cloudy conditions, kind of foggy. It's an unsettled Wednesday and definitely humid out there. You can feel it. Lindsay Morrison is here with all the specifics. Lindsay.
Yeah, Michelle, muggy couple of days ahead. Starting this afternoon, it is going to feel like 35 out there. And yes, we did have some rain over the overnight hours. Thunderstorm in Toronto, still dealing with some spotty showers and some storms in eastern sections of the province. You might also be seeing a little bit of wet weather in parts of Niagara region, specifically near Fort Erie. But we're going to see some of this fog, this cloud cover move on out as the afternoon progresses. It's already quite warm out there, but you will find relief again by the shoreline of Lake Ontario today. Right now, Toronto, Pearson is 26 degrees, already feeling like 35. Winds are light today. That's not so much the story. It's the heat, the humidity, the mix of sun and cloud for this afternoon, but hanging on to the chance of showers and risk of thunderstorms, not just for today, but over the next couple of days. We'll show you how this is all expected to play out with a focus on Friday with that big event coming to town. We'll talk about Team Canada's first game and the weather you can expect coming up. But for now, Michelle, over to you.
We look forward to that. And let's talk a little bit more about the FIFA World Cup, because today marks kind of the unofficial kickoff with countdown concerts set to be held in Toronto, Los Angeles, and Mexico City. Brian Adams headlines the show at Fort York. He will be joined by Toronto rockers The Beaches, as well as a special collaboration between Wyclef Jean, Canadian singer-songwriter I. CTV's Renee Rogers joins us live now with more on the festivities. Renee, this sure sounds like a lot of fun.
It sure does, Michelle. And today, Team Canada took to the practice pitch to do some training ahead of the big day. The big day being Friday, of course, when Team Canada will play the first match on Canadian soil of the Men's World Cup against Bosnia and Herzegovina. And something kind of interesting is that the Bosnian Canadian Association tells us that they expect 25,000 Bosnian fans to descend on Toronto during these games to help cheer on their team. It's all part of this massive wave of global tourism that the World Cup is expected to bring. But that said, data provided to us by hotel analytics firm CoStar shows us that as of June 1st, hotels in Toronto, as well as Vancouver, the other host city, remain less than half full on match days, despite months of predictions that the tournament would lead to a surge in demand. However, there is hope that there will be quite a few last-minute bookings, and we're also hearing from short-term rentals that they seem to be taking a share of some of the typical hotel customers. Now, later today, we are expecting to hear from FIFA President Gianni Infantino for sort of an opening press conference for FIFA 2026, and we'll look forward to see what he has to say as this massive tournament, the biggest ever for the sport, is set to kick off.
Renee, wow, it's amazing to think it's finally here. The bid was 8 years ago. Now kickoff is this week. It's actually tomorrow, but Canada's first match is Friday. Walk us through that excitement.
That's right. So it will be taking place on Friday at Toronto Stadium with or against the team Bosnia and Herzegovina. Now, Team Canada will be looking for its first World Cup victory after having walked away winless during its last two appearances back in 1986 and in 2022. And of course, for Bosnia, this will be their second appearance at the World Cup. They will also be looking to hopefully get a win. And this all really kicks off, as you mentioned tonight, Michelle, with the countdown concert that will be taking place at Fort York and the Bentway. There are still tickets available, but if you can't make it in person to that event, it will be broadcast on CTV as well as TSN, tsn.ca, and the TSN app.
That is great to know. Renee Rogers live for us in the National Newsroom. Thank you.
You're welcome.
The federal government is set to introduce its Online Harms Act today, which is expected to include a ban on social media for kids under 16 years old.
CTV's Tyler Fleming takes a closer look at the potential ban and whether it will be enforceable.
Evgeny Petrenko has 5 kids who all share one important rule.
We don't let them on social media. You just get exposed to absolutely everything. And there's things that kids should not be seeing at that age, and there's things that I don't want my kids to see.
Now, Petrenko's perspective could soon be reflected in a law. The federal government will table its Online Harms Act, which is expected to include a ban on social media.
We will take all reasonable measures to make sure kids are safe in this country.
Do you feel more confident?
I think it's obvious why it's priority.
The government isn't providing details in advance, but the proposed ban could be similar to measures Australia took last December.
The bad thing about social media is definitely the addiction.
Down under, online platforms like Facebook, Snapchat, Instagram, TikTok, X, and YouTube must prevent kids 16 and under from having accounts, and existing accounts are disabled. Experts say growing evidence of health harms makes the bill necessary.
Tools need to be put in the hands of both teenagers as well as their parents and members of the broader community to ensure that kids can be raised in a digitally safe environment and be ready for adulthood without being prematurely exposed to this level of toxicity.
But will it be enforceable?
Everything's on there. All our sources of inspiration and connection are on there, so it's just not really going to work.
Many tech-savvy teens say bypassing the ban will be easy, making education a critical piece of the puzzle.
It's definitely up to families to sort it out. They should really just be controlling that kind of screen time, especially from a young age.
Youth social media bans are gaining traction around the world. Here, several provinces are exploring restrictions. In Malaysia, new rules for young users started last week, while in Brazil, parents must be linked to accounts.
It's great to see what other people are doing around the world, but it's it's infectious. Again, social media is also influential, both good and bad, too.
Tyler Fleming, CTV News.
The Bank of Canada held its benchmark interest rate at 2.25%. CTV's Rachel Aiello joins us now live from Ottawa with more on this decision. Rachel, was this a surprise?
Yeah, good afternoon. Thanks for having me, Nathan. So economists and analysts did anticipate that the Bank of Canada would hold as they have done today. This is now the 5th consecutive time that the Bank of Canada has held the interest rate at 2.25% or 2.25%. And some of the reasons that they gave in making the decision to hold yet again were the ongoing war in the Middle East, the impact that is having on energy prices, and then the knock-on effect of energy prices driving up inflation globally around the world. And then, of course, the ongoing uncertainty around trade with the United States. Of course, we've seen U.S. President Donald Trump threaten to levy new tariffs on Canada as the trade talks between our countries heat up this summer. And then, of course, there are some of the domestic factors that went into making this decision. So, of course, the conversation around a technical recession, the economic stagnation that Canada is seeing right now, the softening in the economy, the unemployment numbers kind of fluctuating over the last number of reports. So all of those taken into consideration were what Bank of Canada Governor Tiff Macklem said informed this decision, but made the point very clear that while they have now held it for 5 consecutive times, that doesn't mean they won't hesitate to intervene should they need to.
Also, the Bank of Canada governor touched on recession concerns. What are you hearing about that?
Yeah, so that was really the big question going into today's press conference with Tiff Macklem was where would he fall on the question of is it a technical or a full recession? And he made it explicitly clear today that recession is not the word he would use. Take a listen.
Based on the data we've seen to date, the economy is weak, but it is not clearly in recession. So let me just unpack that a bit for you. If you look at how the economy has evolved over the last year, GDP is roughly flat over the last 12 months. If you look at the labor market, it's up a little bit over the last 12 months, essentially flat over the last 6 months. As I mentioned, there's been a lot of volatility, month to month, quarter to quarter. But when you look through the bumps, I mean, the economy hasn't really grown in the last year, but it hasn't shrunk either.
And so what we'll be watching for now is where the political debate goes. Obviously, Prime Minister Mark Carney has been very strong in indicating he's confident the economy will bounce back from these 2 quarters of stagnant growth, whereas Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre has pushed very hard, calling on the Canadian government to do more because of the impacts on Canadians and the economy and their jobs as a result of the economic situation. So having the Bank of Canada governor come out clearly and say he's not sounding alarm bells yet, he does not feel that this meets the definition for Canada to be in a full-blown recession. We're watching to see on Parliament Hill how that reverberates this afternoon.
All right. We'll be watching CTV's Rachel Aiello in Ottawa. Thank you.
Thanks.
Pierre Poilievre has issued a challenge to the Prime Minister. The Conservative leader wants Mark Carney to debate him in the House of Commons this afternoon on a United Way report that indicates more Canadians are struggling to keep up with basic costs.
Your job is to be accountable to the Canadian people. It's been well over a year since you made these grandiose promises, and the exact opposite is coming true. You're in Ottawa today, Mr. Carney. Canadians can't afford their bills. Get into the House of Commons and explain to them today at 2:15 what you're going to do to reverse the damage you've done.
The United Way says 38% of Canadians struggle with food insecurity, and 1 in 5 report that all food in their home was eaten with no money to buy more. Nearly half of people in Canada say they could cover basic expenses for only 1 month or less. 27% say their situation has worsened over the past 6 months, and 2 in 5 Canadians have experienced poverty personally or know someone who has. Single parents, newcomers, and youth are among the most affected.
A Canadian Senate committee is calling for better coordination of wildfire response. A new Senate report recommends the creation of an office to integrate responses to wildfire emergencies. Committee members say one of the key concerns is the need for a single national point of contact. The report also calls on Ottawa to create a national reforestation policy to plant more trees after wildfires. There are 15 recommendations in the report.
To the Middle East, where there is yet another setback in efforts to end hostilities between the U.S. and Iran. Donald Trump is now saying, quote, "We're going to be attacking them very hard." Earlier, the U.S. president posted this on Truth Social that reads in part, "They've taken too long to negotiate a deal that would have been great for them. Now they will have to pay the price." Trump's warning came hours after Bahrain, Kuwait, and Jordan came under Iranian fire. It was the second time this week that back-and-forth strikes have tested a 2-month ceasefire. The Americans launched airstrikes early today against Iran after Trump blamed Tehran for the crash of a U.S. attack helicopter. Among Iran's demands, an end to fighting in Lebanon, but fighting between Israel and Iran-backed Hezbollah continues there. Lebanese security sources say Israeli airstrikes killed at least 13 people in the south today, and the militant group claimed new attacks against Israeli forces there.
In the U.S., inflation numbers were released today, with the consumer price index rising 4.2% in May. This is the highest inflation level since April of 2023. It also marks the 3rd straight monthly increase in headline inflation. Much of the increase is a result of soaring energy costs because of the ongoing war in Iran. This is expected to put pressure on the U.S. Federal Reserve, which will make its next interest rate announcement June 17th.
Well, the excitement is building for the games that are going to be happening in the World Cup. And of course, everything gets started tomorrow in Mexico. So let's take a little journey to some of these cities that are going to be hosting matches, including Mexico City. Risk of thunderstorms through tomorrow. There's a later game, and it looks like the weather could be a little unsettled in that part of the country as well. As for Friday, this is the big one for us. Team Canada playing in Toronto. And yes, we do have a chance of showers early in the day, but it's looking like around 3 p.m. conditions should be dry. Mix of sun and clouds, still going to be humid, but perhaps not quite as muggy as today and tomorrow. We're going to take you through a full look at your 7-day forecast after the break.
When you see it happen, send it to CTV News. Text 10400. From your screen to ours. Text 10400.
Well, soccer has been dominating the headlines in the city. A major golf tournament is set to get underway this week.
Don't forget golfers. They'll be hitting the links at the RBC Canadian Open in Caledon. CTV's John Musselman joins us live now to tee up the tournament. Hey, John.
Hi, Nathan. We're just on the first tee-off hole here for the Pro-Am event. The tournament gets underway tomorrow, but today is more of a relaxed day where one pro will team up with some local sponsors and some local business people to play 18 here at TPC Osprey. And this has been going on now all morning. There's been teams out there throughout the morning checking out the course, getting a feel for the greens and the fairways. The tournament again is attracting some of the top players across the world are coming here to Caledon to take part in the Canadian Open. Of course, they'll have that famous rink hole as well with the boards where the fans bang on the boards on the par 3 hole. We had a chance to speak to the CEO of Golf Canada and the tournament director about this weekend's event. Here's what they had to tell us.
It's just a celebration of golf and sport in this country, and a national open, something we're so proud of. This is the best field that we've had in the last 20 years, with 15 of the top 50 in the official world golf rankings. We got more in-year winners, we got more FedEx Cup champions than we've had ever before. It's going to be a great week, and then with that, all the other spectator activities that we have going on. The rink hole is just such an iconic moment. If you're going to come out to bang on the boards and cheer on the Canadians, is a can't-miss moment in the tournament. And then we have our Team Canada watch party on Friday, so you can come to the event on Friday, watch some soccer, watch some golf all at the same time.
There are now 6.8 million golfers in Canada playing golf. 900,000 of them only play indoors or on these off-course facilities. So we want this to be a pilot for other municipalities around the country, that golf can be in parks and little free and accessible means. So what do you say, Toronto? What do you think? We can get one of these in downtown Toronto and other municipalities across the country.
So we can let you know there's a lot of families out here today, young kids seeking autographs. We just saw Nick Taylor, the favorite Canadian here, one of the favorite Canadians here, tee off in the Pro-Am. So there's a lot going on out here. Keep in mind, traffic can be quite congested when you get into Caledon to make your way to the course, especially on the buses for the fans. So you'll have to give yourself some extra time if you're coming out here this weekend. Reporting live, I'm John Musselman. I'll send it back to you.
Thank you, John. You know, I forgot about the Canadian Open. Don't forget, besides the World Cup, there are other things that are going on in the city.
It's one of the busiest times of the year, this month into next month. I'm happy for John. He loves to golf, so he's probably loving that assignment. And weather-wise, I mean, it's looking okay at this hour.
It's looking not bad at all, actually, all things considered. It's looking like a pretty unsettled week for the most part. But yes, dry periods are expected. I'm just thinking of what a great weekend it's going to be for sports fans in our city. And the weather should, for the most part, cooperate. But there are a few things we need to discuss. Weather is brought to you by the Presler Law Firm, Injury Lawyers. You don't pay unless they win. But before we talk about our weather here at home, I just have to show you these incredible videos and images that have been coming out of the prairies this week. Yesterday, severe thunderstorms and likely tornadoes touching down in parts of Manitoba, specifically around St. Anne, which is to the southeast of Winnipeg. But there has been plenty of active weather in and around Saskatchewan as well. So teams will be on site determining the rate and severity of these tornadoes if they in fact touch down. There were funnel clouds in places, flooding rains in others, and hail the size of tennis balls recorded in some areas, including the city of Winnipeg. Here at home, we had a weak thunderstorm rumble through the overnight hours. Nothing severe in nature, nothing quite like what's been happening in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. On the satellite and radar right now, we see some clearing. Here comes the sun in many areas. It is, however, going to be an unsettled day in eastern parts of our province. There is still a special weather statement in place for these communities, with 50 millimeters of rain going to be possible by day's end. Severe thunderstorm watches are also in place across Quebec. So big picture look here. We say goodbye to one area of low pressure. There's a lot of moisture in the atmosphere right now. With that instability, it doesn't take much to trigger some storms. So we're going to be watching for the potential for more in the way of active weather, rain at the very least, perhaps the risk of thunderstorms. But notice how it's not looking like very much at all for the city of Toronto. Of course, these numbers can change, but it's looking as though over the next couple of days here, we, compared to other areas, are going to be a bit drier. So there's the overnight hours. Risk of thunderstorms into tomorrow morning. So heads up as you're heading out the door Thursday a.m. Drier, though, for the most part as we make our way through the afternoon and evening. Here's Friday, and this, of course, is an important forecast. Look at the clearing that's expected to happen for Friday afternoon. Chance of showers in the morning. It's likely to be a cloudy midday as well, but then that sun comes through for the afternoon and evening. 26 degrees right now at Pearson, feeling like 35. There is a heat warning in place for extreme southwest Ontario, where it already feels like 40. We could feel closer to that into the day tomorrow, but there's today's high. If you're headed to the concert at FanFest tonight or going to be watching on TV, this is a look at the weather conditions we're expecting. It's not looking too bad, but that chance of showers continues into the overnight hours tonight. There's tomorrow. Yes, still a chance of showers and a risk of thunderstorms. Humidity, a big part of the story. The weather story over the next couple of days. We'll see it start to settle down as we head into the weekend. Feeling more comfortable by Saturday and Sunday. But Sunday, we do see a chance of showers, and then we're even cooler as we make our way into early next week. That's the weather for now. Nathan, over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. The 17th annual Joe Carter Classic Golf Tournament is underway at Glen Abbey in Oakville. The annual fundraiser supports the Children's Aid Foundation of Canada. Celebrity guests include Jana Hefford, Brad Gushu, and former Leafs broadcaster Joe Bowen.
It's always about giving back to the community, and to be able to do this for 17 years, it is a blessing from the good Lord above, and to be out to have all these phenomenal athletes, and not just the athletes, but here at Glen Abbey, the golf course, wonderful golf course, all the non-celebrities who pay to play and help us to raise a lot of money for the Children's Aid Foundation. For me, this is what it's all about.
Since its inception, the Joe Carter Classic has raised over $5 million for children and youth charities.
The Blue Jays vying for a series win when they wrap up their 3-game set with the Philadelphia Phillies tonight.
And it's lined to left field, a base hit. And Valenzuela has walked it off for the Blue Jays.
What an end to the game. Brandon Valenzuela was a hero for the Jays last night. He hit a walk-off single to secure a 3-2 victory. Max Scherzer is set to start for Toronto tonight, making his return from injury. First pitch set for 7:07 at Rogers Centre.
And the Temple will be looking for back-to-back wins when they host the Connecticut Sun tonight.
Jaquez matched up with Sykes. Slim. Head to the inside. 13 in the corner for Slim.
The team is coming off a big 85-68 win over the Chicago Sky on Sunday. Tip-off for tonight's game against Connecticut is set for just after 7 at Coca-Cola Coliseum.
The Scepters introduced their new head coach this morning. Former NHL player Pascal Réaume is taking over from Troy Ryan, who left Toronto to become both coach and GM with the PWHL expansion team in San Jose. Réaume played 9 NHL seasons and most recently served as assistant coach of the AHL's Bridgeport Islanders.
As a coach, you always want to get to the next level, and I think it was a big part of my coaching career is to get to the highest level I can get. And now I'm going to coach players that they're at their highest level and they're elite athletes. So I was very excited.
The Scepters fell short of the PWHL's final playoff spot this past season.
You're watching CTV News at noon. More news after the break. Stay with us. The excitement around the World Cup has some advocates highlighting safety concerns for kids on the soccer pitch.
CTV's John Venevalley-Rao has more on the call to ban heading the ball for young athletes.
Here's how to head the ball.
A staple of the game, heading allows a player to redirect the ball instead of using their feet and is traditionally learned at a young age.
So where's your dad?
My dad's right there.
But after what happened to her father, Georgia Riznita would like to see it banned for kids.
It's up to us to protect the next generation.
Marino Rizzita played soccer starting in Romania at age 5 and later competed with teams in Italy and Toronto.
He lit up when he was on the field. He was built for it.
As a midfielder, heading like this was part of his game. At age 57, though, he suffered the first of 3 strokes, followed by dementia. And when he died last year, Georgia donated his brain to the Canadian Concussion Center. An autopsy confirmed the presence of what she long suspected, the degenerative brain disease, CTE, which has been linked to repeated minor head impacts.
I decided to donate his brain because I think that we need to realize that CTE is just not massive blow impact. It's repetitive, and it's like death by 1,000 paper cuts.
A decade ago, America's Soccer Federation banned heading for kids 10 and under. Much of the UK has also barred such kids from headers during practice. Soccer Canada has also issued guidelines stating for kids under 11, heading should not be introduced in training sessions. But concussion advocate Tim Fleiser thinks there should be a ban and has 3 kids who play soccer.
In my 10-year-old soccer game the other day, I counted almost 20 headers. So it is happening, and it's happening in games.
Since the human brain doesn't fully develop until well into adulthood, experts say repeated blows to the head are particularly concerning for kids.
That repetitive head impact might have long-lasting effects, which makes us worried.
So this is him in Canada.
It's been a year this week since Georgia's father passed away.
I wanted, his legacy to help with the research on CTE and to help the next generation.
Meanwhile, advocates for a stricter policy say Canada Soccer has committed to meeting with them after the World Cup. John Benavalli-Rao, CTV News, Toronto.
Canada's largest theatre chain is launching a new effort to prevent food waste. Starting today in Ontario, Cineplex says participating movie theaters will sell their surplus popcorn and other concession favorites at a discount through the Too Good To Go app. The app connects restaurants, grocery stores, and other food providers with customers willing to buy and pick up extra food, often at a third of the retail price. Cineplex notes that all of the surprise bags that will go on sale will be exclusively for takeout.
Still to come on CTV News at noon, new data shows the asking price for rents in Canada's biggest market has declined. We'll have those details when we come back.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
As Toronto gets into the soccer spirit ahead of the kickoff to the FIFA World Cup, what would you be willing to give up to attend one of this summer's games?
That's the questions respondents were asked in a spending survey ahead of the tournament. PayPal surveyed more than 1,000 Canadian adults last week online. 44% of respondents said they'd be willing to give up at least one financial priority to attend a match. Dining out and going out with friends were the most likely candidates for reduced spending. Out of the host countries, Canadians were the least likely to say they'd give up one of those financial priorities. 55% of Mexican respondents said they'd do it, and 2 out of 3 Americans.
New numbers show the asking price for rents in Canada's biggest markets has declined because of increased supply and slower population growth. However, the average rent for occupied units continues to go up. The Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation's latest report found asking rents in Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, and Ottawa declined in the 4th quarter of 2025. Landlords in major markets reported that increased competition from new supply is the primary driver of lower rents.
In Washington, President Donald Trump suggested today he's not looking to renew the North American Free Trade Agreement.
USMCA did one thing that I loved. After 6 years, it comes up for renewal. I don't know that I'm going to renew it because, to be honest with you, the United States does much better. Hey, we don't need anything that Canada has. We don't need anything that Mexico has, but they need everything that we have. With Mexico and Canada, we have trade deficits. We should have surpluses with them. We don't need their cars. We don't need their lumber. We don't need their energy. We don't need anything.
CUSMA is up for a pre-scheduled review on July 1st. On and off informal talks have been going on for months. Canada has already indicated it's interested in renewing the free trade deal.
Quebec's Parti Québécois says it will not support the proposed high-speed rail line between Toronto and Quebec City.
The party says it would withdraw Quebec from the project if it forms that province's next government. CTV's Olivia O'Malley reports.
Quebec City would be one of the stops in the federal government's high-speed rail project. Politicians here are in a united front against the PQ's opposition to it.
It's a nonsense.
It's not a good thing to send the message that we want to stop this project.
The PQ is threatening to withdraw Quebec from the project if elected this fall. The Alto project is still in the design phase. The proposed high-speed rail line would connect Toronto to Montreal in 3 hours and Montreal to Quebec City in about an hour and a half.
It's not our priority. It's not the priority we should have at this point in time in 2026.
Based on a Bloc Québécois estimation, the PQ says the Quebec portion of the line could potentially cost $40 billion. Instead, it's asking Ottawa to give that money to invest in infrastructure here.
That amount of money we need for other priorities, which are maintaining our buildings and roads and hospitals.
Alto estimates the project will cost between $60 and $90 billion total. Some experts believe this is unrealistic. But Quebec politicians say what's really unrealistic is the fact the PQ believes this money will still exist without the train.
For them to say Quebec is entitled to $40 billion, it's not a reasonable number by any means. It's not a proven number by any means. And if the project doesn't go ahead in Quebec, it doesn't go ahead, period. There is no high-speed project between Toronto and Windsor.
In Ottawa,
Le Québec met pas d'argent.
Federal Industry Minister Mélanie Joly reiterated that Ontario and Quebec don't have to contribute a single penny to the project and praised the project's qualities, including the creation of 50,000 jobs. The PQ says it has not consulted the mayors of Quebec's major cities who have all expressed interest in the project. Montreal's mayor says Quebec must be able to pursue an ambitious vision for the future while continuing to invest in the infrastructure that citizens rely on every day. However, despite the unanimous opposition to the PQ, the train can be pulled off the tracks without the support of the next Quebec government. Olivia O'Malley, CTV News, Quebec City.
Coming up, an early birthday celebration in Ottawa. We'll have more on a grandmother who's preparing to turn 106 years old when we come back. An Ottawa woman celebrated her birthday early as she prepares to turn 106 years old.
She served as a code breaker during the Second World War and is now a grandmother of 5. CTV's Katie Griffin has more.
Happy birthday, dear Wynne.
Wynne Beecroft has a lot to celebrate.
I was born July the 2nd, 1920.
To mark turning 106 next month, afternoon tea at the Fairmont Chateau Laurier.
It's rather puzzling. But when I come to think about it, I suppose 106 is a lot of days.
Beecroft was born in England.
My mother, when I was young, told me I would never be anything but a servant. So I said, to heck with you.
Beecroft served with the Royal Air Force during the Second World War. She was one of the Enigma girls, helping to break the German code.
We tuned the dials and we tried to hear whatever Morse code was coming over from the enemy, as it were. If we got a full message on a full page, we used to call the supervisor. The supervisor would say, oh, hurry, hurry, and off he'd go to send it off to headquarters.
She came to Canada in 1955 with her husband Rex and 3 children. The grandmother of 5, the backbone of her family.
She's had so many obstacles in her way in life. She's overcome them all. She's always been very, very loving and supportive.
This milestone celebration thanks to Wynne's friends.
As we go through life, it's very rare to find good friends that you have for years and years and years. And every year they become a little bit more precious.
The hotel pulling out all the stops.
When I got that email, I was like, immediately, this is so exciting, and how cool was it that they would choose us to celebrate with.
As for the secret to living such a long life, Beecroft says luck and eggs.
When I was a young girl, my mother put me on eggs. She said they were very good for me. So I've had 2 eggs every day since. And this is what I say when people say, what keeps you so young? I said 2 eggs a day.
Katie Griffin, CTV News.
I haven't heard that before.
I know, eggs.
2
why
eggs
not?
a day, maybe?
That's easy. I had eggs this morning.
That should
Perfect.
work.
106. Here we go. Wow, she looks amazing. Weather-wise, not so bad this hour.
Yeah, not so bad. Happy birthday. And yes, for anyone celebrating anything today, it's looking like a good afternoon to get outside. But again, like every day this week, we have to be weather aware and knowledgeable of the fact that thunderstorms could bubble up at any time. But here's what we can expect into the night tonight. Evening looks good for that outdoor FIFA Fan Fest concert. It's overnight that we get back into an elevated chance of showers and risk of storms. That forecast low of 21 degrees is quite mild, so you might find it a bit uncomfortable for sleeping, especially if you don't have access to air conditioning. And then tomorrow, 30 degrees is going to feel more like 36, so it is a muggy day. Expect some clouds, some sun, risk of thunderstorms once again, especially early in the morning, but chance through the afternoon too. Your next 3 days look like this. Friday, again, we've been talking about how there are improvements coming for the afternoon after a chance of showers in the morning and midday. Saturday is sunny. It's going to be warm as well. We will get some relief from the humidity over the weekend, but Sunday we do have a chance of a few showers. Cooler conditions back to seasonal through the early part of next week. Nathan and Michelle.
Right. Thank you, Lindsay. And that's it for CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great day.